Hello, welcome back to the Unplayable Podcast. The countdown to the World Test Championship Final for 2025 is well and truly on. June 11 is when that match is going to take place between Australia and South Africa at Lord's. And yeah, we just can't wait here at the Unplayable Podcast. My name is Josh Schonafinger. Jack Paynter is going to be over there. He's still in Australia at the minute, but he's going to be there for the match. Jack, how are you going? How are preparations going for you ahead of your trip to England?
Hello, Josh. Great to be here. Well, as you can probably tell by my big woolen jumper here, it's pretty cold in Melbourne at the moment, so probably not acclimatising to the summer weather too quickly. But yeah, there's plenty happening, that's for sure. And I guess we might jump straight into it. I'm probably stealing your job here, but you were up there last week in Brisbane for the Aussie training camp. Tell us what you saw and how the guys going through their paces.
Yeah, well, the Aussies, well, at least the non-IPL and non-county Aussies had the chance to train up at the National Cricket Centre in Brisbane over the last couple of weeks. Pretty good turnout there. Lots of test adjacent players and also some who aren't necessarily in the test scene floated through. I'll just run off a list of some of the players I saw there. Usman Khawaja, Alex Carey, Nathan Lyon, Todd Murphy, Jai Richardson, Michael Neser, Nathan McSweeney, Sam Constas, and then, of course, the Quicks, Josh Hazlewood and Mitchell Starc got up there last week. And then there were some interesting ones. Corey Rocacholi, we know he's been around and about a little bit. He's obviously highly regarded as an off-spinner on the rise. Billy Stanlake, he was there as well. He's coming back. I think he's going to be playing for Hobart in the Guyana T20 League that they've qualified for. So that's good for Big Billy. Who else do we have there? Scott Boland was one. Tom Rogers, the Melbourne Renegades quick, he floated through as well. So some good names there, some interesting names, but on the whole, they had probably half a dozen really solid sessions in the Brisbane sun. Always good that, I got those facilities year round there for the Aussies. So lots of positive signs. The coaches were all good spirits. We spoke to George Bailey on after that World Test Championship squad was released. And all signs are pretty good so far for Australia. There's no injury concerns to worry about. Obviously, Josh Hazlewood had that little shoulder niggle, I believe, but he's already headed back to the IPL, which we will touch on shortly. So it's all just a matter of who makes that final 11 for Australia now.
That is quite a diverse mix up there. How's Unplayable Podcast favourite Billy Stanlake going? He's had a bit of a rough trot over the last 2 years, but he's sent him through pretty quick up in Brisbane.
Yeah, off the full run. Saw him there for a couple of sessions, so good to see Billy back in action. We know what a wretched run he's had with injuries, but he's going to stick around with the Hobart Hurricanes for at least this tournament. And for those who don't know, I might just give a bit of context for this Guyana T20 League. So some of the top-ranked T20 teams from around the world have been invited to Guyana to play in this invitational sort of tournament. Victoria actually had a team there last year. I think they were led by Corey Anderson of New Zealand and USA fame. So it's a bit of a strange tournament, but it's just an opportunity to get some more games under the belt. And for someone like Billy, who's just really struggled to get onto the park, it's a great opportunity for him.
Yeah, and I guess you look at the Victorian, they had that T10 league at the end of the season, so there's a lot of focus going into getting guys on the fringes more T20 games, isn't there? So this is just an extension of that.
Absolutely. Let's get back to the main talking point. I mean, I know we love our Guyanese T20 leagues, but the World Test Championship Final is the one we want to be talking about. Josh Hazlewood, he is the one. Jack, you wrote an interesting article for cricket.com.au about whether Australia go for him or Scott Boland in that final against South Africa. Obviously, it's going to be played at Lord's, so that will be a consideration. What did you sort of work out there, and which way do you think they'll sort of be leaning?
Well, I should qualify this. It's probably, there's no bad choice. They're both really good options, and it's probably just you just pick a name out of a hat, really. That's probably how I'd go with it. They're both, in top form. Hazlewood obviously had that bit of an injury at the back end of the Aussie summer, where Boland came into the side. But I mean, there's no wrong choice really. They're both going to go in and do a good job. And Andrew McDonald was on SEN radio the other day and said just as much. He said, it's a great four fast bowlers, as in Mitch Starc and Pat Cummins as well, to have on the selection table. So it's hard to get a sense of which way they're leaning. The piece yesterday was quite interesting to sort of break down the numbers in terms of, Hazelwood's obviously played a lot more in England, but Boland's just played the 3 tests there. But, if you look at Hazelwood's numbers at Lords too, which is where the World Test Championship final is going to be played, he's got 13 wickets at 26 from his 3 tests, which at a strike rate of 44.3 is second to only McGrath since 1997. So that's a pretty big rap to have, at that venue as well. And you look at the last test they played there in the Ashes, Hazel was the one who broke the game open on the final day with, the wickets of Ben Stokes. He got Ben Duckett the day before as well in that second innings to really put, Australia back in a winning position when it looked like Stokes was going to do another Headingley and take the game away from Australia. So he's got a good record there, and Boland hasn't played at Lords, so that's something that's definitely working in Hazelwood's favour in that sort of selection debate.
And what were McGrath's numbers there, just for those who didn't see?
McGrath's numbers, let me just bring them up here. He had 26 wickets in 3 matches at 11.5, striking once every 27 balls. So that's just ridiculous. Helped, obviously, by an 8-for in one of his tests there. But, in that famous 2005 series where he took his 500th test wicket at Lords, he also got a haul in that match as well. So, he's definitely loved playing at the home of cricket, that's for sure.
Yeah, pretty strong stuff there. And Scotty Boland, we know he likes really flat pitches to bowl on, while Lords has that famous slope. So does that qualify as flat? Different type of flat, I suppose.
I'm not too sure because he never played there, even in a first class match or a county match, or so it's hard to know. I'm sure they would love to get out on the centre wicket at training sort of prior to the World Test Championship final, but I'm not sure if they'll be able to do that. Maybe some run throughs on the centre square. Might be able to see how he goes with that. But you touch on Lords as well. Cummins has also got a pretty good record there. 10 wickets at 21 from his 2 tests there. But as I mentioned to you yesterday when I was digging through all the numbers, there's one bloke who has a better average and strike rate than both of them, and that's Kagiso Rabada on the South African side. So he's got 13 wickets at 19 from his 2 tests, so he's definitely going to be a threat come the final.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we always know that he's going to be a threat, but especially there where he's got a good record. Now, there aren't too many moving parts with Australia's potential bowling lineup, but there seems to be more moving parts with the batting of the top 6 every single day. Andrew McDonald had some interesting quotes on Cameron Green, which I'll get you to read out. But it's not just the openers, because it's sort of a domino effect, isn't it? Once we lock in the opener, then we can lock in the middle order, or vice versa. It's just there's so many different computations and permutations that could take place here.
Yeah, that's right. You could pretty much, all of those options could fit into the team at some point. Constas could open, Labuschagne could open, Webster probably couldn't open, but he could slot in at 6. Green could slot in at 6. So once you sort of lock in that opening partner for Khawaja, you're right. It sort of has the domino effect through the whole order. If you look at it, just as you touched on those comments from Andrew McDonald on radio, he kind of said that Steve Smith will take the spot at 4 after sort of sliding up to open the batting when Green came back into the side at number 4. So that's another sort of permutation that has worked itself out over the summer when Green was absent. But that means Travis Head will go back to number 5. So that's 2 spots that are taken up, and McDonald pretty much said that he thinks Green could bat anywhere. He could be a 3, he could be a 6, he could open. So they're really sort of leaving their options open as to how to get him back into the side. But, I mean, look at his form for Gloucestershire over the last 5 games. He's certainly one they can't really leave out, can they? Because 300s, 60 in there as well. Looks a presence at the crease, and like he's recaptured that form that he had from that New Zealand tour prior to his back surgery.
Yeah, well, of the players who have now been floated as a potential opener, I think we're up to 5. I think obviously Constas is one, Green by McDonald, Inglis and Labuschagne were by George Bailey a couple of weeks ago, and obviously Travis Head has done it over the last 24 months as well. So options are plenty there. I honestly, I have no idea which way they'll go myself, so it's going to be fascinating to see how the next fortnight sort of plays out there, Jack.
Yeah, and McDonald sort of said that they would wait until 2, 3 or 4 days before the match to make a decision. I know there's a lot of speculation in the media from us as well, I guess, saying that leaning this way, leaning that way, but seems clear that they're going to wait until the last moment once they've got that sort of full squad assembled in London to make a decision. The other interesting point, I guess, is that he raised is, do they need an all-rounder? Will they need an all-rounder at 6 in Bo Webster? Will they sort of need those bowling overs? And I guess they'll have to wait until they look at the pitch to make a decision on that. So that's another potential way to get Green back into the side, back into his old spot at number 6 if they feel that they don't need those all-rounder overs from Webster, because obviously Green isn't bowling until the home summer later this year. So that's another conversation they'll have to have.
Yeah, that's always going to be risky just going into us 4 bowlers, isn't it? But as you say, maybe they back in their four bowlers and go from there. Alex Carey, as I said, he was up in Brisbane. He's enjoyed some rare time at home, in fact, over the last month or so. He caught up with cricket.com.au's Adam Burnett last week just to chat through his current form and what he's been learning in Brisbane.
Look, I think results-wise have been good. At the moment, I feel pretty clear with my method, and yeah, I'm excited to get back out and play again. But to finish the season on a high with the Sheffield Shield final, trip to Sri Lanka, bought a Gavaskar trophy. Like, it was a pretty busy year for a lot of the guys. So to have a little bit of time off was great. But yeah, I'm keen to get back out there and take on South Africa.
And what a nice way to do it. I mean, like a World Test Championship final. Yeah. That bit sort of be the icing on the cake of another productive couple of years.
Yeah, I think so. Look, it's a journey. It's not the end. It's not the be all and end all this match, but you do want to play every game for Australia and try to win them. And I think to have 2 solid years of cricket and secure ourselves in the World Test Championship final again is fantastic. We played cricket in all conditions over those 2 years, and we're really consistent. So to go back to England at Lords this time, to take on a different team in South Africa, who've also had a really good 2 years, will be great. It's the 3rd World Test Championship. It'd be nice to hold 2 of those. And for this group, yeah, it'll be great reward for the results over the last couple of years.
Good to hear from Alex Carey there. Appreciate his time. Now, the other interesting point, I suppose, Jack, is that Australia won't have any more tour matches once they arrive there. It's all going to be net sessions. There'll be a bit of golf thrown in there, I'm sure, but no matches to sort of decide which way to go with their 11. South Africa, they will play a tour match against Zimbabwe, who have recently just played a test match against England. So they will have some match practice themselves. We've now got their World Test Championship squad, the South Africans. Any surprises there from your point of view?
Not really. I think a pretty standard squad. All of those guys have played in tests over the last sort of year and a little bit for South Africa. I guess the big question is, like Australia, is what's the final 11? Do Ngidi, who has missed a block of red ball cricket due to injury at the back end of last year, does he come back in? Dane Patterson has done a good job. They've got a stack of all-rounders in Marco Jansen, Wiaan Mulder, Corbin Bosch. Do they all play? They've got some questions there. They've got to answer about the batting as well. Temba Bavuma's had a bit of an injury scare. Plenty of questions on their final 11 as well. And I guess we'll have to hopefully get a good look at them in that Zimbabwe game to see how they're sort of shaping up.
And we've seen a couple of their players have a bit of a run in county cricket as well. Dane Patterson, he's played 5 matches for Middlesex He's taken 11 wickets at 43, so not really setting the world on fire there.
On Patterson, while you mentioned him, he had an interesting battle with Marnus Labuschagne last week when Glamorgan played Middlesex. So saw a little clip of that on social media, and looked like they both got a few jabs in there in that little battle for a few overs.
Yeah, potentially a little preview of what we might see in a couple of weeks. Also, Kyle Verreynne, who's going to be their number 7. He's their keeper. He's been playing for Notts in Division 1, and he's hit 315 runs and an average of 35. So not too bad going there. They're top of the table, I think, actually, Notts at the minute. So going pretty well.
He got 100 in their first game of the season. I don't think he's missed out a bit since then. But they've obviously got David Bedingham over there who fractured his ankle, but he resumed playing for Durham last week, got 17 and 8. So he's working back into it ahead of the final. We've got a few guys in the IPL as well, a few guys in the runs. Not quite going as well as what Mitch Marsh is, but Adam Markram, he's hit 400 odd runs. Ryan Rickleton's hit almost 400 as well, and Tristan Stubbs has hit 300 at 50 for Daly. So plenty of guys in that South African squad that are in good form. And like McDonald touched on, with the Hazelwood sort of going back to the IPL for the IPL playoffs this weekend, it doesn't really matter what cricket they're playing, as long as they're playing at that sort of high intensity is important for at least the Australian selectors.
That's a nice little segue to maybe get in and have a look at the IPL stuff. We're into the playoffs stage now. I reckon Australian management will be pretty happy that the Sunrisers didn't make it. It means that Pat Cummins and Travis Head can head straight to England and get ready for that final. But there will be a couple of Aussies still in action. Punjab and RCB, they've got the qualifier on Thursday night Australian time. And then Gujarat and Mumbai, they've got the eliminator on Friday night. As you said, Mitch Marsh finished the regular season with the 4th most runs, 650s and 100 in his 13 matches. Good going there from the Big Bison. Josh Hazlewood, he's returned ahead of those playoff matches for Royal Challengers Bengaluru. And yeah, he held the purple cap for most wickets at certain points during the tournament, but he's dropped away a little bit now given he hasn't been playing. But 18 wickets in 10 matches is good going from the Big Quick.
And he's still the leading bowler for RCB for the season too, despite missing those 4 matches, the 3 since the competition resumed and 1 before that. But yeah, they didn't play. I think he was over there for their last round match earlier this week, but didn't play. But they kind of indicated that he would come straight back in sort of for the playoff tonight. Australian time, isn't it? Midnight.
That's right. Pretty handy inclusion there for RCB. Pat Cummins, he had a pretty good tournament as well. 10th most wickets. He finished with 16 from his 14 matches. And they just started too slowly, his Sunrisers, didn't they? I think they lost about 6 of the first 7 matches. But they ended up finishing pretty strongly and just missed out on the playoffs. Travis Head, he got 376 runs. That had him tied for 19th most runs. So didn't hit the highs that he hit last year, Travis Head, in the IPL, but obviously that strike rate of 162 is still right up there.
Pretty tough to replicate what he was able to do last year, isn't it? But yeah, I was surprised actually. I didn't follow too much of the IPL, obviously checking on the Aussie guys, but Sunrisers, they ended up finishing 6th in the end, which has surprised me a little bit. Got their sort of act together late. Other Aussie guys that will be in action over the weekend in the playoffs, you got obviously Tim David. He's at RCB as well. Josh Inglis is with Ricky Ponting's Punjab Kings. So he's hitting them well, sort of broken into that side as the wicketkeeper and has made a spot for himself at number 4. So that's good signs ahead of not only the World Test Championship, but the West Indies tour after that.
Yeah, I mean, they're really the story of this year's IPL. Ponting's Punjab Kings. Those matches that you're talking about for Josh Inglis, 32 off 12 balls against Delhi, and he followed that up with 73 off 42 against Mumbai in the very next match. So it took him a little while to find his feet, but now that he's in that side, he's really kicking goals, and that's great to see because we know what a dynamic player he is. And another one who, he's going to be in the frame for that World Test Championship spot given his good start to his Test career in Sri Lanka. But just how do you fit all these guys in? Something's got to give.
Well, our Unplayable Podcast colleague Louis Cameron, he is adamant that Josh Inglis is just about to explode on the international stage. So he reckons, he could be one of the best players in all three formats in the world within the next 12 to 18 months. He's just got to get that opportunity, which he has got for Australia across all three formats now since he made his test debut in Sri Lanka, and it's good to see him do it on sort of the big T20 stage in the IPL, because we've seen it in the Big Bash, we've seen it sort of in the ODI and T20 teams for Australia. You got 100 in against India last year. You got 100 in India in 2023 after that ODI World Cup win. So Aussie fans have seen him do it, but now fans across the world are seeing him do it as well.
Yeah, the other one worth mentioning for Punjab is Marcus Stoinis, who again he started not the best, you'd say, in this tournament, but he's really come good in the last few matches. His strike rate of 194 for the tournament is elite. He's just waiting in the wings out there at number 6, sometimes number 7, and when he comes out, he's going to be absolutely key for them. So good luck to Punjab. They've never won the IPL, neither have RCB actually, so we could very much get a first-time winner, which is always good to see, like with the Hobart Hurricanes in the BBL and the Renegades in the WBBL.
Yeah, exactly. It's good to see. And for Ricky Ponting as well, he had a bit of a tough time of it towards the end at Delhi there, and got snapped up straight away by Punjab, and it's just shown how good a coach he is in the T20 format. They've also got Marco Jansen, who's been taking a few wickets as well. He's got 16 wickets for the season, so he's in good form heading into that World Test Championship final as well. Yeah,
I wonder if Josh Inglis and Marco Jansen have been sharing notes, or if they've just been sticking to opposite sides of the change rooms.
It's an interesting dynamic, isn't it? Because they're teammates, and then if they win a title, suddenly 2 days later their adversaries trying to win another title for their country. It's a strange dynamic world cricket these days, isn't it?
Yeah, it sure is. That might give us a good chance to jump over to the county scene. Jack, we know you're not a huge IPL fan, but you love your county stuff. And there have been some Aussies doing some good things over there. And why don't we kick it off with Cameron Green, who already has 3 centuries for Gloucestershire this season. He's averaging 66.7 with the bat. Great signs for the returning all-rounder there, Jack.
Oh, it is. And I reckon those Kent bowlers will be glad to see the back of him. He got 2 of those tons against Kent and a 67 as well. So, but we actually, one of our colleagues, Adam Burnett, as you mentioned before, he spoke to Gloucestershire's coach, Mark Elaine, overnight, and had a few nice lines about Green's influence on the club during his 5-game stint, and just sort of said his presence at the crease was what sort of stuck out the most. So that's certainly good signs for Australia heading into that crucial Test playoff. The other ones who have been making runs, obviously not in the World Test Championship squad, but Marcus Harris and Caleb Jewell are certainly lighting up Division 2, both number 1 and 2 run scorers for their respective sides. So they've had a terrific start to the season.
You mentioned Cameron Green. That just before we move on, he hit 2 of those centuries against Kent. I'm not sure if you saw, but after that second one, he was asked about facing those Kent bowlers, and he said afterwards he felt a bit sorry for them that he hit 2 in a row. So Greeny doesn't quite have the mongrel in him just yet, feeling a bit sorry for belting the opposition all around the ground.
Well, it was a little bit lean between that, wasn't it? Because they played Kent twice in 4 games, and in between those 2 centuries, he didn't really get out of single figures, did he? And then
right.
Comes out and hits another huge 100 against them. So, yeah, certainly they'll be hoping they don't see Cameron Green for a long time yet.
Yeah, as you said, Caleb Jewell, 232 for Derbyshire. That takes this season tally to 693. And Marcus Harris has 825 runs for Lancashire so far this season. So he's absolutely killing it. Peter Hanscom and Cameron Bancroft, they're captaining their respective counties as well. They're both having solid seasons as well, averaging in the 40s. Matt Kuhneman came in for 1 game for Marnus Labuschagne's Glamorgan. He took 6 for his career best figures, in fact. So they had another win. Marnus, though, 2 matches for him, 27 runs, average of 9, caught in the slips cordon on all 3 occasions. a shame because we know what a great record he has for the Welsh county. I think he's played there for 6 or 7 seasons now. Stacks of runs to his name, but just couldn't get it going. And I know that 2 matches, it's not a huge sample size, is it? But we're just so used to seeing him churn out the runs for Glamorgan. It was unusual to see him only get 27.
Yeah, it's a bit of a concern, I think, for the Aussie selectors as to what they do with him heading into that final, because it hasn't just been those 2 matches. It's kind of been a bit of an extended period that dates back to the Australian summer. He's only got 2 half centuries this year in any format. Second innings of the Shield final where he got 60, and then he got 77 for the Heat, and he's one off Big Bash game last season. So a bit of a worry. And Andrew McDonald was asked about it during his interview earlier this week, and sort of just said they would have liked him to have gotten more runs, as they would with all their players. But it's hard to know how a player's looking until they get eyes on them. He's obviously been training in Brisbane, but not as part of the training camps that we had there last week because he was over in the UK. So he just said it was tough to know how he's going until they get eyes on him and see him in the nets, see how he's moving, and then I guess they'll make a call on whether he plays or whether he doesn't. Yeah,
it's going to be a massive call too, isn't it? Because he's been a staple of that Test side pretty much since his debut back in 2019. Has he been out of the side at all in that period?
Not that
I don't think so.
He came in. Well, he came in at Lords for a concussion sub for Steve Smith. He's obviously played before that, but that was when he really stamped his authority on that position and actually edged Usman Khawaja out of a spot for a while there. So he's another one like Steve Smith and Josh Hazlewood, Pat Cummins, who's got a bit of a love affair with Lords. So perhaps if he does play, it could sort of reignite his form a little bit.
That's a good point. One more that I think is worth mentioning from the county stuff is Beau Webster. Warwickshire has been his county this season, 172 runs with the bat, average of 29 and 10 wickets at 27.8. Yeah, I think the major thing there is his ability to bowl. If it comes down to between him and Green, well, he can bowl, so that's a huge feather in his cap.
He's been taking wickets with both pace and spin. There was one match where he got a wicket bowling his seam up, and then a few overs later switched off spin and got another wicket, like he did in Sri Lanka. So that's a huge plus, not just for the WTC, but also the Caribbean coming up after that, where those pitches might suit spin a little bit more, so he can switch between those 2 skills, which is quite remarkable, really.
Yeah, it's great to be able to have that in your kit bag. Not many can do it. Jack England played Zimbabwe in a one-off test. It was a historic moment for the Zimbabweans. Their first test in England for over 20 years. Didn't end too well, unfortunately. Big centuries for Ben Duckett, Zach Crawley and Ollie Pope. And a 6-wicket haul for Shoaib Bashir. Did you see any of this match? What were your takeaways, mate?
I saw the scores. Takeaways were it was sort of Bazball. Obviously historic moment for Zimbabwe, but they got beaten up by Bazball, didn't they? They walked straight into that one, and 493 runs was it on the first day?
Yeah, so very close to 500. Yeah,
that's an incredible amount of runs. I'm not sure how much you can read into it though, given the pitches they now prepare over there in England that are suited to that style of play, and potentially what you'll get later on in the year in Australia for the Ashes. The pitches have changed a lot in Australia since England last toured, or historically. So it's not going to be those sort of flat, benign surfaces that they can just sort of prop on the stand and deliver. Really, as we've seen across the last few summers, there's tests finishing inside 3 days quite regularly. So it's going to be more of a challenge, I feel, for England's batters batting over here against Australia's quality attack than what they would face potentially on English soil. But they've also got India coming up this summer, home summer in England, so that'll be fascinating 5 tests to watch as well.
Yeah, it sure will be. Joe Root passed 13,000 test runs. It means he's only got Sachin, Ponting, Callis and Dravid ahead of him on the all-time list. He's got his sights on Ponting too, who's currently in second spot. He's only 300 and 72 runs short of Ricky. So by the time the Ashes rolls around this summer, he could have surpassed Australia's greatest run scorer. So that will be an interesting subplot as well, because we know that Aussie fans like to give Joe Root a bit of a hard time.
It's an enticing proposition as well when you've got, Steve Smith in the Australian side, who's just recently passed 10,000 as well. How high can he get on that list? He's obviously got 4 tests coming up over the winter before the Ashes as well, so it could be a bit of a bat-off to see who can make their way up that list.
Love it. Jack, all the best for your travels over to London. We will be touching base very regularly to get updates ahead of and during the World Test Championship final, so stay tuned to the Unplayable Podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you all on the next episode.